Hey trackies, welcome back. It's the end of the Tokyo 2025 World Championships. Yeah, Tokyo Drift has come to an end and we closed in absolute style. Of course, some fun action. The relays, Jamaica was represented in three of those four relays: the women's 4x4, the men's 4x4, and the women's 4x100 meters. And yeah, man, we went for every medal we could possibly get. So let's get into the excitement. Let's start things off with the men's 4x400 meters, where guess what? America was chopped off their throne by Botswana. Botswana went into 2024 possibly as favorites. Didn't end up taking the win. USA did at that particular point. However, Botswana rallied again in 2025 and they became the champions in the men's 4x400 meters, where they ran a 2 minutes 57.76 seconds. Now, the time may not be as fast as it would have thought to be, heading into the actual championships. However, listen, the man that are running out some storming rain, some torrential rain, right? So just navigating that for me, kudos and shout out to all of the athletes. They did absolutely well, right? So Botswana takes the win. But yeah, man, it came down to the wire. It actually came down to the anchor leg. It actually came down to the final, maybe 10 meters. You know what I mean? Where we had South Africa actually challenging Botswana, that was in silver at the time, and Rai Benjamin out there for Team USA in gold. But when South Africa came up on Botswana, Botswana got another pip in their step. They were like, oh, hell no, you're not about to take down Botswana in this race. And Botswana rallied. They rallied to the point where they found themselves in gold, overtaking USA and taking the win. As I said, 2 minutes 57.76 seconds. Now, USA ran a season's best for second in the race, 2 minutes 57.83. But guess what? To all South Africa did a rally with Botswana. Them around the same time as America. Yeah, it came down to the thousands. That's how South Africa was actually separated from USA. So South Africa taking the second run in the same 2 minutes 57.83 seconds. The separation by the thousands was Team America 0.22 and Team South Africa 0.82. So that's how the medals were doled out. Botswana gold, USA silver, and South Africa bronze. But Jamaica ended up in 7th place. Now we ran a team of Delano Kennedy, Javon Powell, Joshua Dennis to Rasheen McDonald and anchor. My only query was, why was Rasheen McDonald not on start, since he's really good on start, probably not the best when he's trying to rally with athletes, right? But really got out of the blocks. He also indicated that that's where he wanted to run to give Jamaica the best lead off he possibly could, as our fastest athlete this season. However, not so. So I'm not sure what went on there, but the guys, finished 7th, and we're fine with it, because it was always going to be tough, guys, for them to actually medal, with this field. There's some really strong 400-meter guys, representing other countries. And yeah, the countries in general just rallied, and it was a really strong relay overall. When you think about the teams that finished ahead of Jamaica, Belgium, Qatar, Great Britain. So yeah, no harm, no foul really for how these teams competed. And yeah, so Jamaica finished off the medal podium in the men's 4x4. Now let's dive into the women's 4x400 meters, because this one, Jamaica ended up on the medal podium, as many would have predicted we would have, leading into the championships, given who we were sending. Now, Team USA took the win, running a championship record 3 minutes 16.61 seconds, with Jamaica second. Silver! Ray! Running 3 minutes 19.25 seconds, which is a season's best for us. And the Netherlands was third, running 3 minutes 20.18 seconds. Now going into the championships, I definitely believe that Jamaica could have won the silver medal. Things started to look a bit sticky, given that a few of our collegiates weren't looking as strong as we were hoping they would look. But guess what? Once the relays began, they rallied and they were ready to go. And yeah, man, Jamaica turned up ready to walk away with nothing less than a silver medal, right? And we did just that. Have to say shouts out to Dejanay Oakley. Fantastic opening leg from her. Stacy did her thing on the second leg, but Lena Irby Jackson for America. I don't know what kind of time she was on. She was on some kind of time, and she was like, not today. She went zooming out from Jamaica. So on the second leg, I definitely think that this is where Team America stamped their authority and really, separated from every other country and went away for the win, in my opinion. And that was courtesy of Lena Irby Jackson. Really, really strong leg from her. But overall, I think Jamaica was really, really strong. Into Anjanette Knight, into Nikisha Price that ran the second fastest split overall, which was a 48.50, only behind Sydney McLaughlin Leveroni's 47.82. So yeah, Jamaica came out, showed out. We did our thing. We showed our authority, in this event, only really losing out to America over the years, in this event, you know what I mean? So I'm glad seeing Jamaica really back in, this position and not necessarily, behind Netherlands or probably behind Great Britain, right? So good going from Team Jamaica in the 4x400 meters. Now, the final event that we competed in is the women's 4x1. At this particular point, the rain, even though it slowed, was still falling. Realized that our athletes, especially Tia, wise beyond her years, keeping her hand inside the baton hand that is, inside her, jersey to ensure that it didn't get wet. I thought that was amazing, by Tia. But can I tell you, this relay race ended up much better than I thought it would ever be. Let me tell you something. Going in, I was panicking. I was absolutely panicking. I was like, Jesus, what we are going to do? Right? Because right off the bat, there's no Sherika Jackson. I said, oh, mercy. What is this? What's going on? T loves to panic. So that was me. But I have to say, ladies, you did fantastic. I loved it. I loved every moment. I was tearing up at one moment, especially during the replays. I just loved what I saw. So Team USA ended up taking the win, though, in the race, and they ran a 41.75 seconds for the win, and Jamaica was second with a 41.79. So you realize, separated by a toops. That's what happened between Team America and Team Jamaica, with Great Britain coming in. Well, did I say Great Britain? Sorry, geez. I mean Germany coming in for third, and they ran a 1 minute 41. Okay, now we're back to 1 minute. Okay, they ran a 41.87 seconds. Yeah, I'm probably getting sleepy at this point. So that's what happened for the medals. It's USA, it's Jamaica, it is Germany. Now, let's talk about what happened leg by leg, because me not tell you no lie. Jamaica, here all in the rain, we turn up on short. And not like a woman that has been successful to the point where she is now the greatest 100-meter sprinter of all time, Shelly Fraser Price, leading us out of the blocks, leading the charge, and reminding our youngsters, Tia, that she handed over to, that we still name our name. I'm telling you, Chuckies, Shelly didn't lose anything on Melissa Jefferson Wooden. I was shocked. So Melissa Jefferson Wooden ran 11.38 out of the blocks. Shelly ran 11.32. The fastest split actually came from Dina Asher-Smith, 11.27. But I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Melissa isn't going as hard as I thought she would. No, don't get me wrong, rain was falling. So you have to take all these things into consideration. And honestly, the mere fact that the athletes just finished, to me, is a positive. You know what I mean? I do think Melissa was being cautious with her run, and nothing wrong with that, because USA still ended up winning anyway. But I definitely thought at that point that, hold up, Jamaica is actually in it more than I thought. And then we had Tia Clayton on the back stretch versus Tonisha Terry. Now, for this leg, they clocked it at Tia 10.18 to Terry 9.93. Now, I'm just going to be clear. Tia actually reached Tina before Tonisha reached Kayla. Problem is that Tina didn't get the baton. So it took a minute not a minute, because clearly not that long, but it took a while for, the baton to be handed over. Actually, what happened was, Tina, again, being cautious, went off a bit slow. So Tina kind of ran up into her back. So by the time she's handing over the baton is actually touching into Tina's back. So Tina is feeling, and she's touching into Tia's chest. So what Tia does for me was like, listen, we have to make this pass. She grabs on to Tina's hand. And she's like, I got to give it to you. In that split second, she made that decision. She grabs her hand and she forces the baton in her hand, and Tina gets it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these young girls Oh, and if I love them one more time. So they get the baton, changed. Team USA, takes the ascendancy because of this. And they have a slight lead, right? But Tia, Tina, I believe, sorry, does challenge Kayla White, coming off, the end of, you would say, their run. And I believe that Jamaica could have possibly, handed over, with USA, probably dead heat, but Sha'carri got the button first, and it took a moment for Jonielle to get it. But track is what Jonielle did on anchor for me also was amazing. Because after Kayla ran, 10.36 and Tina ran 10.18, as I said, even though Tina ended up getting the button after Kayla, she rallied off that turn for sure, right? And that is how she ended up with a faster split, even though it took longer for her to get the baton, right? And so it took a minute though for Janelle to also get the baton, and I saw Sha'carri got a slight lead on Jamaica. But let me tell you something. What Janelle do on the anchor, me frightened, me frightened. Because Jonielle run down Sha'carri, Jonielle run down Sha'carri. Jonielle run down Sha'carri. I was like, okay, Jonielle, you have my absolute respect. You have me respect. Whatever happened in London was not what happened in Japan. No, clearly I was panicking in Japan. Come I said to myself, not Japan, I was panicking in London. Come I said to myself, say, how can I like that Jonielle go run? What can I like that Jonielle go run? But she turned up here in the heats, and she turned up again for the finals. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Absolute respect goes out to Jonielle Smith. The team overall really, really strong. I remember seeing Shelly and Fraser Price handing over to, Tia, and how she was screaming at Tia. Even when Tia gone, she was still telling her to go. I'm like, that's the queen of sprints right there. That's her handing on over. Yeah, man, I loved it absolutely. But yeah, we settled for the silver. At the end of the day, I'm still excited for what I saw, because with the rain, all kind of things could have gone wrong, and it didn't go wrong. So we have to be grateful for that. And we take our silver medal. USA get the bragging rights, obviously, with their gold medal. You know what I mean? And as I said, Germany outpacing Great Britain. Now, Germany actually did show signs of this actually from in the heat, with Germany running down on, and that is Gina Lukenkemper that is running down on Daryl Nita. However, I thought with the addition of Amy Hunt, for Team Great Britain, things would have changed a bit. Not so, because Rebecca Haas went ham, on her leg as well. So Germany ended up with the bronze here. So good going for Germany. Absolutely. So with that said, track is, that's what happened, for this particular championships when it comes to, Jamaica and the medals. No more opportunity for medals because we were not in the men's 4x1. That being said, let's wrap up what happened, right? So USA took the win. Christian Coleman to Kenny Benerick to Courtney Lindsay to Noah Lyles. So they took out 3 and they added 3. They added Kenny, they added Courtney, they added Noah. It worked out for them. There was a bit of a challenge between Kenny and Courtney, but they got the baton, and that's what was important. They ran a world leading 37.29. Actually, very, very impressive, considering that it was, again, terrible weather. Didn't expect the times to be remotely fast or this fast, but hey, they got it done. So great going for Team USA. Canada ended up in second with a 37.55 seconds. And the Netherlands actually coming through for bronze, courtesy of that final leg by Elvis Afrifa, right? Really, really fast. The fastest split done overall, I think, was at 8.79 seconds. No, actually, they actually had 2 athletes do ham. They had another athlete, Burnett, run 8.76 on seconds. So you see what I mean when we talk about these countries that are practicing? Yeah, the Netherlands is clearly practicing, because to run this fast and to get into the medals with a national record that is 37.81 seconds is crazy run from them. I was actually looking out for potentially Ghana, making it onto the podium, you know what I mean, or even a Japan, but not so. Ghana was 4th and Japan was 6th. But yeah, fantastic relay, and I think fantastic championship overall. Team Jamaica ends up with 10 medals. So I'm happy. I'm proud of our team. Back in the double digits. Nothing to complain about. I see Americans wanting to shame us. And I'm like to myself, imagine trying to shame Jamaica. We're gonna go everywhere. We're gonna see a big bad Jamaica everywhere. If we win 10 medal. Are y'all a little slow? Do you see Jamaica size in comparison to you? And no amount of all Americans don't focus on track and field now go save you. Because when you do, when you see how much athletes when you turn out at the NCAAs, when you see how much when you turn out, All right. That being said, track is one Jamrock on to the next championships.